Hey guys, today I am 35 weeks pregnant. We've made it to 35 weeks and I'm so excited. Also, I just want to say I'm sorry in advance. There are people outside working on like the yard and everything, and so there's a lot of noise outside and unfortunately there's nothing I can do about it. So this week has been pretty uneventful, but at the same time kind of very eventful. So I'll just get right into it. I really haven't had too many symptoms. My hands, I've noticed, have started swelling just enough that my rings are kind of tight to get off and on, but you don't really see the swelling. I've experienced a lot of the symphysis pubis dysfunction pain, but it was mostly yesterday, and I'm starting to think it was because I was doing too much and I was constantly going up and down stairs with like big loads of laundry, which I'm sure makes it worse, and I've heard that stairs kind of make it worse. Today it's doing a lot better, I'm just sore. But I was able to get all of our cloth diapers and the baby clothes ready and washed. I didn't wash any of the 0 to 3 month clothing, and I'm starting to think I probably should, but I did wash the few newborn outfits that we have, just so that we have at least a few days worth and I can send someone else to go do baby laundry if I need to. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but we are planning on cloth diapering and using cloth wipes, and one of these days I'll take you through my stash. One of the most exciting things this week is we are back home. So we were able to finally get into our apartment, and things, by some miracle, were totally okay. And we feel so blessed because there's so much devastation around us still, and we're still areas just, you know, hundreds of yards away from us is still flooded. But we are okay. Our apartment did not get a drop of water inside. It didn't get any roof damage. It didn't flood, nothing. The worst was we lost some food in the fridge. And, you know, I can't express how blessed I feel and how grateful I am, because I really didn't know if I was going to be able to handle having to deal with all of that on top of. Yesterday I had an appointment with the OB. We wanted to go ahead and do a growth scan just to check on the baby, make sure he was okay. Last week at my appointment with my midwives, or 2 weeks ago, at my appointment with my midwives, my fundal height was measuring exactly on track instead of the usual 2 weeks ahead. So my midwife and I just felt more comfortable getting checked out, and the doctor had mentioned that he would like to do a follow-up growth scan eventually. Luckily, everything looked fantastic. He was perfect. The only thing that might have been anywhere close to concerning was my amniotic fluid levels a little bit high. Like, it's high. It's not just a little bit high, it is high, but it's not to the point of being concerning yet. And so we're just going to continue on as we are. Now, the ultrasound did show some interesting things. So he definitely has not stopped growing at all. And so we're pretty sure that the drop in my fundal height is simply from him dropping lower, which I can feel, so I totally believe it. But it showed that this little boy is ginormous. I'm 35 weeks today, and I had the ultrasound done yesterday. And the ultrasound, basically what they do with ultrasounds is they measure all the different parts of the baby's body and then average out for an estimate of how far along the baby's measuring. And he was measuring 36 weeks and 3 days on average. That wasn't even his biggest measurement. His biggest was like 37 weeks and 3 days or something like that. He is measuring big for sure. And the weight that it gave, the estimated weight, was 6 pounds 9 ounces to 6 pounds 10 ounces. Which makes me laugh because my pregnancy app today said that at 35 weeks he should be weighing about 5 pounds now. So he's a big boy for sure. Another funny thing that just makes me chuckle about how big he is, during my ultrasound, the woman who was doing it was very, very professional and very good at not telling any information. And so she would say the usual, oh, he looks great kind of things, but didn't actually give me any information, which is what they're supposed to do. They're not technically allowed to tell you really anything about what they're seeing, just in case something's wrong. But at one point she did kind of stop and go, he has really long legs, which made me laugh. So I'm curious to see how big and how long and what he's gonna look like. I'm just curious to see what he's gonna end up being when he comes out. So today I had an appointment with my midwives and everything looked fantastic. My vitals still looked great. Honestly, it was a pretty uneventful appointment, which is fantastic. I love uneventful appointments. It means everything's okay. My weight was at 150.8, so I really haven't gained any weight since 2 weeks ago. My fundal height was measuring 35 weeks, so it's still on track now rather than the 2 weeks ahead. I am experiencing contractions, like I'm having a really tight one right now. And they progressively have been getting a lot stronger and more frequent, but still nothing to be concerned about yet, nothing that I'm concerned about yet. And I did discuss that with my midwife, and she just wants me to continue taking the medication that I'm taking, and I'll continue that until 37 weeks, which is in 2 weeks. That's so crazy. One thing we did discuss was the possibility of a nuchal hand at delivery. Now a nuchal hand is a hand that comes out with the head during delivery, and just based on what I've been feeling and based on what we saw at the ultrasound, it's definitely a possibility that he will have at least one nuchal hand or possibly two when he's delivered, which can make delivery more difficult, more painful, and prolonged. When their hand is up there with their head, it's obviously a wider diameter to push out rather than just the head and then just the shoulders. It's the head plus a hand and then the shoulders plus an elbow, and it's a lot bigger and a lot more work. And so if there is a nuchal hand, I could potentially be in for a long time of pushing and a greater risk of tearing and more significant tears and just a lot of hard work. So that's something I definitely want to avoid, but ultimately we have no choice in what happens. So the reason we think that there might be the potential of a nuchal hand is he constantly has his hands by his face. I can feel them running along like the top of my pants line all the time. And the ultrasound showed, I actually got some ultrasound pictures, and they were of his face, and it wasn't the best picture because his two hands were curled up right underneath his chin like this. And I'm pretty sure that's how they almost always are, and then he'll stretch every once in a while, and that's what I feel, and then he'll go right back to having his hands right there. So that's something that I might have to work through with labor and delivery. We also discussed the possibility of me being GBS positive. Obviously we won't know until we do the test, and that'll be done next week. And we discussed my options for antibiotics or my right to decline antibiotics if I choose to. We also discussed the vitamin K shot and what our plans are with that, if we want it or not, as well as the newborn hearing test. Now in the state of Texas it is required by law to do the newborn hearing test, but technically I think you're still always allowed to decline if you choose to. We don't plan on declining. That's just one of those things. It's a preventative measure, pretty much. It's one of those things that can spot something that might change future things before it's even an issue. We also discussed my plan to belly bind. So I have no idea how to pronounce it. I'll just kind of put in how you spell it here. But I bought a belly wrap, and I plan on binding after I give birth. I'm not going to do it super tight. I'm going to do it so it's comfortable. And I'm simply doing it because I've heard, now there are no studies that prove anything, I've heard it helps with diastasis recti, which I believe I have. I've heard it helps with symphysis pubis dysfunction and bringing the pubic bones back together, which I have. And I've heard it just feels good. So those are all things that I would love, and so I'm going to try it. I'm not doing it for the aspect of making my belly smaller faster. I could care less about that. I'm going to heal as I need to, but I'm doing it to kind of aid these other things and see if it works for me. That's pretty much the end of the midwife update. Nothing really happened. Next week I do start seeing them weekly, and so the way my weeks fell and how I've been going to the appointments, I am going to go in next week because that's when they do the GBS test and another CBC, another complete blood count. And then from there it's every week until he comes, which is crazy because it could potentially just be one more week. We did also finally get a car seat and it arrived today, which is super exciting. It's nice to have that done and to know that we are one step closer to having their essentials that we need for this little boy to come. He's actually kicking me right here right now and it hurts really bad. He's got sharp feet and knees that he constantly hits me with. It's those long legs. I'm just super excited. I'm obviously a little bit nervous about the labor and delivery. I think everyone always is going into it because there's always the unknown, and the unknown is scary to me and many other people. But I'm really excited to experience it and to feel the birth high. I've witnessed people give birth and I've attended a birth myself once and it was incredible, and afterwards I felt so empowered and strong and just in awe, and that was just watching someone else give birth. So I can only imagine how it's gonna feel when I give birth, and I'm so excited. I would love to hear your guesses for his birth date, his birth weight, how long he's gonna be, all of that stuff. I'd love to hear them below in the comments, and let me know how you guys are doing. If you're in Florida or the East Coast, please stay safe. Hurricanes are no joke, and it sounds like Hurricane Irma is pretty bad, and it's seriously no joke and nothing to mess with. So please stay safe and let me know how you are, and good luck. I'll be praying for y'all. Anyway, I'll see y'all next week. Bye. Alright, here's my 35-week belly. And again, I didn't get it done in the morning. This is the evening, so that was my bad, but I was kind of busy. I had a midwife appointment today, so like I talked about in the update, he's measuring pretty big. So we'll see how big he actually comes out.